Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us on the first ever reading of our Indigo Brave newsletter. So, we're talking about the summer solstice right now and how to harness the energy. We know that there's a lot of light at the summer solstice, increased light, and we can feel very energized by that. We can feel very buzzy and full of ideas, but it can also leave us feeling burnt out. So how can we really make the most of that? Well, it's a natural high point in the calendar, and we know that the sun is currently holding us in its fullest and most radiant embrace. In leadership, timing is everything, and the solstice invites us into one of nature's most powerful energetic windows. But with the external world bursting with vitality, perhaps we can find ourselves exhausted. And if we're used to being a high performing woman out there in the world, then perhaps the temptation is to feel the energy to do more and more. And yet we just haven't got the energy behind us. Well, sunlight is much more than illumination. It's a biological and energetic catalyst. As the sunlight hours increase, our body literally takes in more light, and our systems, our nervous systems, they activate in response. So you might notice that you're staying up later, waking earlier, feeling more alert, but perhaps feeling like there's a restlessness in that alertness. You can end up feeling really wired and yet underneath it very tired. And that's the light activating our nervous system, stimulating the pineal gland and influencing our circadian rhythms. We know now that light triggers cell communication. So there's a lot of emerging research in biophotonics, and we're seeing that cells communicate through light and are hugely affected by light. It's the photons that are entering our body and causing biological shifts. So we're left with a bit of a paradox because the season of high energy can make us feel like we have more of it, but we're feeling drained. Why is that? Well, we feel it's about the deeper foundations of energy. So perhaps they haven't been built in the darker seasons, that foundational level of our energy. And perhaps we haven't even seen the need for them before. But if that darker time of year isn't spent creating a bit more fuel and resource, we can find ourselves very depleted in the summer. I think it is particularly interesting for women because this is looking at sustainable energy for the feminine. So for women, especially in leading women, so if you're leading teams or businesses or both, you can find yourself in very high pressure environments. And sometimes the need to understand, to honor the natural cycle isn't something that comes very easily. But for us, we would say that it is a key to sustainable performance. So women statistically are twice as likely to burn out as men. And that's a study that was done at the end of 2024. So it's very recent. And we just don't work well. Women's bodies and systems are not linear. We're much more cyclical. Our monthly cycles, the cycles within our bodies moving towards bleeding and then into perimenopause and menopause. We're very cyclical creatures. And we need cycles which honor growth and bloom and rest and renewal. But in the business world, we sometimes find it difficult to honor those ourselves because we can feel like they're not honored within the bigger picture. So, a quote from our newsletter here: "The energy of summer needs to be met with the energy you have cultivated through the winter. Without that deep fuel, the intensity of the light can create pressure rather than power. And that pressure can drive our nervous systems so that we end up feeling wired, a bit brittle, perhaps a little taut. instead of being able to sit back and relax into the increased energy and light. So I can certainly put my hand up to this, and I did suffer complete burnout. So that is something that I've now recovered from. I'm much more energetic than I was. I am now heading towards 60. And I believe I'd certainly had a lot more energy at 55 than I had at 50. So I don't see why I can't be fitter and use my energy better at 60 than I did at 55. Now, that doesn't mean that the energy will come as easily. Aging is a reality. I have been on this planet for longer. And however much we chase that idea of eternal youth, it's not my experience. My experience is that my energy shifts, my energy changes. I need to work with it in a different way. But that doesn't mean that my energy simply depletes, that I simply can't do what I want any longer. That's not my experience. What it does mean is I cannot enter the brightest and lightest part of the year without my full store of internal resource and expect not to notice. My body really notices. So if I'm not getting enough deep rest and true rest, the kind that repairs the nervous system and replenishes my energetic stores, then I used to find that the surge of summer light would be overwhelming and actually exhausting. Yeah, sure, my body was activated by the light of the solstice, but I didn't have that stable resource, and therefore the energy burnt out. It fizzled and left me dropped off a cliff. And then the solar energy is just creating burnout. It's not enabling me to stand in brilliance of the summer, which is what I want. So for a metaphor here, it's very much like if you're just trying to push that energy of the solstice, it's like throwing kindling or paper even on a fire. Sure, it's giving a quick burst of heat, but it's not going to last. Your energy comes from the slow burn, the solid fuel of seasoned wood that has been tended over time and is now ready to be burnt. If this is resonating and you are just feeling a bit flat, that you're going, well, okay, but it is the solstice and I don't have that kind of resource. I haven't built that sustainable fuel. Now what? Well, don't worry, because there's always things you can do right now. So first step is to really see if you can honor the cycle a little bit more. Really notice what your body is doing at this time. And notice that the way the body is reacting is truly different to the way that it reacted in the winter. You can try to ignore cycles, but they never work. You're removing yourself from nature's rhythms, and that is a disconnection, which I feel leads to ever more increasing sense of unease, malaise, a worry that something's not as it should be, perhaps even burnout and depression at its worst. So let's look at some practical restorative practices if we find ourselves in this summer energy without the deep fuel of the winter. Look to your rest and repair, and that's going to be your sleep first. If you're noticing the fatigue, it isn't just longer sleep you need, it's deeper sleep. It's faster entry into the rest and repair state that your body needs. It's being able to drop into your sympathetic nervous system so that while you're asleep, the body can do what it needs to do for real rest and repair. Okay, number one, let's look at the temperature. So can you cool your sleep environment? Perhaps even a degree, perhaps a few more. A cooler room of 18 degrees or under really supports your deeper REM cycles. Obviously, open a window if you can. And sometimes that can lead to more sounds coming in from nature. So consider some earplugs. And it can also bring more light in. So if blackout blinds that work with an open window aren't an option for you, I highly recommend a sleep mask. So I resisted this for ages. I had some crazy belief systems that I think I'd picked up from possibly some films in the 90s, but that a sleep mask was for, princesses, a little bit OTT and not something that I needed to do, a little bit faffy. I had to try it one summer where the light was waking me up literally at 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock, really early in the morning. And I was so keyed up with all the things I was doing, I wasn't able to get back to sleep. So I now have, I tried one, it worked. I upgraded to a beautiful silk one, and it's one of my prized possessions. I take it everywhere. It's very lightweight. You can hand wash it and dry it very quickly, and it's effective, very effective. The other thing, of course, is watching our screen usage and our blue light before bed. So the brain needs that full at least 3 hours before we sleep. It's no good doing that last thing on your phone. Oh no, I haven't ordered the ... or answered that email about ... Picking the phone up and bang, the blue light is going into your eyes, even with I have a blue light dimmer on my phone, but I still notice the blue light going in. I often find that I mean, I'm not a doom scroller. I don't use social media in that way, and I certainly don't scroll at night. And I would advise, if you do, watching if that affects your sleep, do some experiments. But I find that what still gets me, I don't work in the evenings if I can avoid it. So if there's an email I've missed, I will timetable it on my pad for the next morning. But it's those family things. It's, oh, I didn't order this for the kids. Oh, I didn't order that for the family. I didn't buy the but it's those things that can sometimes still sneak in. So I've taken to a pair of blue light blocking glasses. It's really important to protect your melatonin. And the melatonin in your body needs that time to get activated so your circadian rhythm is protected. Sleeping well and you're ready when the light does, when your alarm goes off and the light's there, 6:30, bang, I've got some energy. And the last thing on sleep is to call a halt to your eating earlier. Again, work on a minimum of a 3-hour window before you're trying to sleep. So if your body's busy digesting through the night, it can't drop into those deeper repairing of the organs, repairing of the cells. It can't really do the job because it's still working with the food that you've put in it. So again, I had some belief systems about this. Eating late, sitting out late in the summer, one of my joys. So I don't have it as a hard and fast rule. This also, of course, applies to alcohol. If my liver is processing alcohol, then it definitely doesn't get as good sleep. There's just no question. The liver is busy. It's processing the toxin out of my system. That has not stopped me enjoying a glass of Prosecco in the evenings of the summer sun, but it has meant that I am more aware of it. So whilst there's never any medical advice on any of these podcasts or videos or newsletters from Indigo Brave, I can tell you what I do, and I will take something like a lot of extra water, some vitamin C, perhaps even a milk thistle supplement to support my liver if I've chosen to drink alcohol. And I will definitely make sure that the next few days are alcohol free. Okay, lovely. So let your body be ready for sleep. Protect the circadian rhythm. And you can really get some powerful bedtime rituals into place for yourself that support that. The next thing I want to talk about is grounding. So really important that we ground our energy. It's not just a metaphor, it's a real thing. It supports us with this fast-moving summer energy, the yang energy of the earth. We can find that we can take more yin energy from Mother Earth herself. So I start each day by standing barefoot on the earth. 5 minutes can help. I let the sunlight hit my eyes in that time. So constantly wearing sunglasses can block out too much of the light, and we can miss some of that vitamin D production that this time of year offers us. But the physiological effect is directly onto the nervous system of standing with bare feet on the ground. It balances your electromagnetic field. It can realign to your frequencies. There's a load of research, a wealth of information. I've got lots from the website Groundology. And what I find is that it settles my nervous system. It's also a great opportunity for a little bit of heart coherence breathing, something we use a lot in Indigo Brave. And it can just be a great practice to start your day. The early exposure in the morning does help with the eyes receiving the light, because it's again, it's circadian rhythm. It really lets you attune to the day. Okay, this is definitely the morning now. The rhythm of your sleep wake will be supported. And I absolutely love at the summer solstice, and I actually did my first one of the solstice window yesterday. So a tech-free walk. So no podcasts, no headphones, just a walk that is in nature, to watch, to observe, to see myself as part of the beautiful abundance that is all around us. The birds were incredible last night. Notice the colours. Let yourself be part of this cycle, part of the earth, not just witnessing it. It's something that I do at each of the major turnings of the year, so both solstices and both equinoxes. And I find it wonderful to remind myself that I'm part of nature's intelligence. I noticed that our cherries are nearly ripe. And oh, yeah, what a joy of the summer. We're not separate from nature, we are nature. And when we align to it, we find sustainable energy and a deeper sense of clarity. Great. So these energies definitely support us for our connection, for our vitality. Of course, they're not just to be doing them in summer, they're a part of our cycle through the year. But I really want to remind you, you can start any point. We don't say, oh, I didn't develop enough deep fuel in the winter, therefore I've missed it. Start at any point, and then you will journey into the darker time of the year with an understanding that that's when the energy is really developed and the deep fuel is stored in the system. Great. And let's remember that the solstice is the maximum light. It's the gateway of light. But beyond the solstice, we are actually in the journey returning to the dark. Although, panic not, the summer is still with us. The wheel turns slowly. Thanks very much for listening. All feedback gratefully received. As usual, we'd love to know what you think of this format for the newsletter, and we'll see you soon. Thanks.